Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Gold Coast Podcast. You know, I'm very excited today because I have a really cool guest, right? A lot of times we have doctors, business people, and although this guy is a businessman, he also has a pretty darn cool resume. You know, Ian, I think you're from Denver, right? Originally, Denver,
yep.
Colorado.
Yep.
Are you a Broncos fan, by the way?
Yeah, I used to be.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Playoff game coming up, but
Yeah.
but Ian, I consider a great friend. Ian at one point was in the UFC, ranked 9th as a middleweight at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So that means he was probably one of the top 50 baddest men on the planet. Is that, did I get that number right? At one point.
No, you said it, yeah.
And he's definitely a hell of an entrepreneur, very impressive an entrepreneur. And today he actually has a position as the president of the BKFC Ice Wars,
Yes,
which
sir.
is a whole other story into
Yep.
itself.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, you know, it's interesting. You know, it's funny. When I first met you, I didn't recognize your face. We'll just dig right into UFC if you don't mind. I didn't recognize your face. And you had mentioned to me like, oh, yeah, I used to be in the UFC, right? And I said, okay. And I'm a fan. I'm just not a super fan, but I am a fan for sure.
Yeah.
And then I went back home and I said, I do remember this fucker, right? And I started watching some of your fights, and you were the definition of aggressive. How would you describe just unpack your fighting style and UFC and your whole career trajectory?
Yeah. So, wrestling was my first sport. Started when I was 11 years old, so that you could say that was a little bit late. But by the time I was 13, I was starting to get in trouble at school, and I had been kicked out of class, the little stuff, but it kept going on. So my parents were like, all right, we got to do something. So they, back then it was like, oh, take him to the doctor, see what's wrong. And they're like, oh, he has ADD, ADHD, impulsive disorder, all these like whatever diagnosis. And of course they give me Adderall. And, I have a long line of addiction on my father's side. My dad, my uncles, my cousins all struggle with addiction, and some of them still to this day. And, I fell into drugs hard, but I still was a 3-time state champ. I took runner-up my freshman year, almost beat a 4-timer who was his senior year. So I was a couple-time national champ. I took second at Ironman, a few-time All-American. So I was very good at sports, even though I was like partying really hard. School was like whatever. And, I was getting full ride scholarship offers from like Yale, Princeton, like crazy letters. Like these nerds were like, I was like, let me cheat off your test. And then this like letter would come in and they were like in shock. But then of course I got expelled. I was a habitual offender, and eventually they kicked me out. And then I went on this long journey, world tour, of just trouble, man. Like went to Canada. And I had a girl. So, we'll reverse a little bit. I went to senior nationals, right? This is the pinnacle. You have to be a state champ just to qualify to go to this. All the college recruits are there. Basically, if you place top 8, you're guaranteed full ride scholarship. Like it's like the top of the top. Only state champs can go. And I was expelled. Partied that whole summer. Partied all the way through school. Did some like online thing. Got my degree online. And then I just showed up. My rich girlfriend at the time, she's like, I believe in you, baby. I'll pay for everything. I'm like, all right, let's go. We flew out to Virginia Beach, and man, just grit. Like when I say I was addicted to drugs, like Steve-O status, like it was bad. Like by the time I was 17, now I had 2 milligram Xanax bars prescribed to me a day, 40 milligrams of Adderall XR. And those are just to like keep me going. And then I'm smoking weed all the time, drinking bottles of Southern Comfort, sniffing coke, popping ecstasy. Was like doing some like petty drug dealing, just like a wild child, popping Percocets and just anything I get my hands on. Right, like it was nuts how I could perform. Like sometimes I think I'm like, man, imagine if you just went on the straight and narrow. And we show up to Virginia Beach. Some crazy crackhead comes knocking on the door. He's like, hey, if you need coke, I'm next door. And I'm just like, bro, get out of here. Like, I got a wrestling tournament tomorrow. Girlfriend passes out. I'm drinking beers. I hear the dude chopping up lines. And I'm like, I'm going to just go over there real quick. Go over there, sniff a gram. Like, and I'm just pissed at myself. Like, bro, I got to wrestle tomorrow. What am I doing? Like I was addicted, man, chasing this high, especially when I got a couple beers in me, you know. Wake up the next morning, I'm like, bro, how am I even gonna make weight? I make weight, I feel like crap. I just start doing sprints back and forth, and I'm just like my mind was so strong, right? Because I was like, I'm gonna beat these guys, I don't care.
And you're 17 years old. Let me get this right. You're 17.
17, wow. Yeah. And I win my first 3 matches, and then the 4th guy was the guy who won it. I lost by 2 points. Went to the back of the bracket, and when you learn, there was like I think 80 people in the bracket, so you got a long way back. Wrestled 6 matches all the way back to taking 4th, and like pulled like a couple matches out, like where I just won it, like 1 point at the last minute. Took 4th, and I have college recruits all over me. The 3 guys in front of me and the 4 guys behind me already signed to full ride scholarships. Offered to Boston University, full ride scholarship, books, everything paid for. Then they see that I'm expelled, and they're like, all right, you go to a junior college, right? Because I was like, I have my degree, but they're like, yeah, you're expelled. You're not going D1. And so I got a full ride scholarship, one of many opportunities that I blew, and got arrested the first day we showed up there. Drunk, walking on the street. Wow. Cop rolls up to me, hey, let me see your license. And then I was like, no. And he's like, all right, you're drinking underage. Rip up the ticket, throw it in his face. Then he writes me a ticket for littering. Then I run. Then he tackles me, and then I spit on him. He writes me evading arrest, littering, drinking underage, and disturbing the peace. My boy bails me out of jail the next day. So like I just trying to like set up like the mindset that I was in, because it was just like
reckless.
It was just super reckless, bro. Like no concept of like the future. It was just day to day, chasing that high, like do whatever I want. And so my parents had just got divorced, and that hit pretty hard. You know, I grew up in kind of a middle to upper class family, so we had some stuff. My dad had a successful roofing company. Mm-hmm. My mom didn't work. She did the back end paperwork for him, but we had a nice house with a pool. We had big parties. You know, my parents were always partying, and then after they split up, my sister took it really hard. My parents lost the house. They put a $500,000 addition in 2007, and then got divorced 2008 and tried to sell the house, and they couldn't even cover the note on the loan they took to put the addition on.
Well, that was during the crash too, right?
Everything crashed. Yeah. So, and they had 3 or 4 rentals in Denver, and they sold those to like put into the house, and so basically lost everything, back to square zero. And so I came back, and my neighbor shot our dogs. Like it was just drama. And then I had petty warrants. People were coming to my house and stuff like that. And then I had a girlfriend hit me up, and she said, hey, come out to Canada and come to prom with me. Flew out to Vancouver, beautiful paradise. I was like, I love it here. Put in this funny resume. It was like my wrestling accomplishments and all this stuff. Put it on Craigslist. Got a call from a guy, said, yeah, meet me downtown in this high-rise complex. It was like a boiling room, like a movie scene from the boiling room. This guy was like, we are going to be rich, and was like just throwing money around. And he had us convinced we were going to save the world. And we were selling fixed rate contracts, natural gas, doing door-to-door sales. It was like Zig Ziglar, Tony Robinson, like it was just like mind programming, sales pitches, sales meetings, and then we would just hit the streets and go door to door. Some of the best skills, honestly, I've ever learned, because if you can sell door to door, man, you can talk to people.
Preach. I say this all day long.
It's one of the best things you can do. It's a little dangerous now in America, I would say, but like in Canada, it was perfect time. Like we were locking in people at higher rates, but if we were say gas would go up over 5 years. So anyways, I'm making $2 to $4 grand. I rise up to like top 5 in the whole
per
company.
month. You're saying per month, roughly?
Per week.
Per week. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
okay, cool.
So I'm crushing it. I'm 19 years old now. Yeah. So like for me, that's big money, and you can drink when you're 19. So I'm doing limos, bottle serve, just being stupid, blowing all the money, and then I meet these Guatemalans out there, and I got into a fight with the girl I went out there with. Moved in with these Guatemalans. Didn't know. These are like oligarchy Guatemalan family, and they're like connected to the cartel, and they're moving drugs and doing all this stuff. And of course, I'm ended up being neighbors with these guys. And now they're like, "Yo, do you know some contacts in Colorado?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So we start shipping ecstasy to Colorado, and this guy's selling it. I'm like, "Yeah, it's going good, great." I don't think anything of it. I used to always
know about because I was in Rochester, New York.
Oh yeah.
So I always heard of the pills coming over from Toronto.
Yeah, Canada had the cheapest, best. I mean,
Yeah.
Like older people will say, "Oh no, from England or Amsterdam," but all I know is the ones from Canada were like the purest and the best. So you didn't have to worry about all that fentanyl. And
Unfortunately, I can.
Can you vouch?
I can vouch. Very heavily. I can vouch.
Wow. So I'm doing door-to-door sales. I knock on this door. 4 chicks answer the door, and they're like, "Oh, he's cute," and they pull me in. I'm dancing. I'm drinking Bloody Marys with them. I sign them all up. The one girl's crying in the corner, and they're like, "Oh, she just broke up with her boyfriend. Go dance with her, blah, blah, blah." So I'm doing my thing, and then at the end, they're like, "She's too drunk. You got to drive her home." And we're supposed to have this meeting when we finish work, and I'm like, I tell the chick, I'm like, "Yo, I got to go," because they want me to drive her home. And the girl screams at me. I'm running, and she's like, "Ian." And anyways, I drive this chick home. And we're hitting it off, and she sells wine for a living. So she had really expensive wine. And we're drinking, and all of a sudden I hear pounding on her door like the police. She opens the curtain because she had a sliding glass door as her front door. It's like a duplex. And it was her ex-husband. And I was like, oh, here we go. And then he sees me, freaks out. "Get out here, I'm going to kill you, mother." And I'm like yoked at this time. So I like pull the door, boom, punch him right in the nose. Jump out there, jump in full mount. I'm just slapping him like, "You gonna go home?" Because his 2 kids were inside. And he grabs me in the balls and twists. And I just snapped, bro. I held him over this 2-story building. And the girl's like, "No." So I throw him and I roll him down a flight of stairs. And I ended up moving in with this chick 10 days later. She was 37. I was 19.
I did not think the story was going there.
She goes and takes her kids to school. I'm sitting in her house. I'm like, this chick's crazy. I'm like, she's so trusting. But so like, this is the state I was in. Anyways, 8 months.
And unfortunately, dude, this was me and my circle of friends.
Yeah.
This was just our.
We're lucky we didn't hang out back in the day.
No doubt.
It could have been bad.
No doubt. Yeah.
So I'm kind of going like a little too in detail.
And unfortunately, I can relate so well, so I find it so entertaining.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm playing stepdad. This chick's like, he's just renting a room. She tells the kids, and we're actually good friends now. Like, she's married and she's a good person, but we were living recklessly, man. And then I was making really good money. I bought a car. I was loving life in Canada, and all of a sudden, pounding on the door one morning at like 7 a.m. And I'm like, oh man, this guy's back for round 2. This dude had been stalking me. Found out I'm getting paid under the table by this sales company. Found out I went home for the Christmas, and then I came back, and I tried to take a Greyhound back, like flew to Seattle and Greyhound across. They stopped me. I chilled on the border, tried to walk across the border. They stopped me again, and they said, if you're going to try to cross again, it's 100 days in jail. And I had the girl I originally went out with, her mom drove me across, and I just got lucky they didn't check me. So I was like pushing it. So they called it. I repeatedly snuck across the border because I had DUIs and stuff. They didn't want to let me in. And so it was immigration police. They walked me down the stairs. I sat in jail for 4 days. I got into this little conflict with her because she heard I was messing around on her when I was living with her. Got out. She bailed me out $5,000 cash. There's no bail bondsman there. Came back, and I was like, popping Xanax, drinking tequila, and I was just like, man, I'm gonna get deported. Like, this is my job. Like, I'm gonna start running my own van. I'm gonna start making 10 grand a week, like crazy money. And she told me she hooked up with a guy because she said I would hopefully admit what I did while I was locked up, like her ex-husband's friend. So just drama. So I start punching holes in the wall, get crazy, pass out. Kids wake up the next day, they're scared. She takes them to school. She comes back home, jumps on me full mount, and just starts teeing off on me. All I know is whatever's happened to me, I want to stop. So I like wake up on her, like holding her head down. She's screaming. I'm like, yo, I couldn't even open my eyes. And she's like, you're crazy. I'm calling the cops. So she calls the cops. I grab like
you blacked out, you think?
Well, I was passed out.
Oh, okay.
And she got off and just was teeing off on me.
Yeah.
And you know when you're so hungover, you can't even like open your eyes. You're just fight or flight. Like, stop. Yeah. And grabbed like a $2,000 bottle of wine, took off towards the beach. Cops cut me off. The bottle broke. I rolled over the car. Apparently, I attacked the police. If it was America, they would have shot me. And then they beat my ass. Like, I have a picture of me in court with my eyes swollen shut. And they questioned me when I was all under the influence, and I made up this crazy story because I didn't want to snitch out my sales team. So I was like, I'm a fugitive cage fighter. This is before I was fighting, and I was like, I met her online. This whole story, front page of the Vancouver Sun. She tries to bail me out. Again, the judge denies me. My lawyer's like, don't say anything. I stand up. Your Honor, I would like to speak. He's like, and I was like, I'm not a dangerous person. I'm just belligerent when I drink and do Xanax. Like, I won't do it anymore. Mr. Heinisch, you are a threat to Canadian society. We are going to keep you detained until you are deported from this country. And there I went. That was my Canadian chapter. Spent about 6 months in jail, and then they deported me back to Colorado. Wow. I came back there. It was like the depression, housing crisis. Parents were broke now, and I was like, man, what am I gonna do?
Are you 18, 19, 20 here? How old are you?
So I'm probably about 19 or 20. Maybe
so you're still not
20.
Wired right. You're still all
yeah. Okay. I'm just looking for the next come up.
Right.
So I called the Guatemalan guys, and I was like, hey man, maybe you could ship me some of that ecstasy. And they're like, all right, cool. So they start sending me package 2,000 a week. I start moving it slowly. People start
2,000 pills a week.
A week.
You're paying, and let's dig into this. $2 per pill.
Yep.
Selling them at wholesale for maybe $10 a pill.
Yeah.
But retail $25.
Wholesale $8. And
okay.
And at raves. So what I would do, we would go hit a rave, like me and 5 of my boys. I'd give each one of them 100 pills, and I would go up to everyone. Hey, you need pills? Guy in the green jacket. Hey, you need pills? Guy in the blue jacket. And I would point my friends out, and they would go do the transaction. Every now and then, I would say, hey, you need pills? They'd throw me up against the wall, secret police, and they'd search me, and I would just be like, blah, 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 like act like I was just incoherent. But I never carried. I was the talker. They were the holders, and they would do the transactions. End of the night, we'd dump a pile of cash on the beds, like a big pile of cash. And but that was getting too risky, so then I started having guys that were buying 1,000 a week. And next thing you know, I'm moving fast. Now I'm sending Western Unions back the cash. They're starting to freeze our Western Unions. My boy goes, hey, bro, buy this thing called Bitcoin. You can buy, sell it. So I look at it, it was 17 cents a Bitcoin. And I was like, bro, I don't understand this thing right now. I was just like, imagine just buying $100, bro, and forgetting about it. Like, but everyone has that Bitcoin story usually. But so he's like, all right, we got to find a solution to this problem. He goes, my boy's going to come down with 100,000 pills, give you 10,000 a week, and you give him the cash, and he'll drive it back. Cool.
So he's fronting you this huge amount now? Or
yeah,
like consignment almost.
Yeah, like he'd give me 10,000, and then I would pay him, and then
Okay.
he'd give me the next 10,000.
Okay.
Just like he would give me 2,000, I would pay him, and he'd give me the next 2,000. And to be honest, I might have paid for the first 2,000 up front. I think the Canadian chick loaned me the money, so because we were still friends. Wow. Yeah, she was a little ride or die, but yeah. So after the Canadian guy came down, now he's giving me 10,000. I'm moving it quick between me and this other guy.
And where and you're in Denver?
Yeah, in Denver.
And Denver is kind of it's a party city.
Yeah, it's a rave. The rave scene was blowing up.
Yeah.
Like the rave scene was going nuts.
Okay.
And so I'm moving it wholesale now. Now I just have like 3 guys that are doing it, and then we were hanging out with these 2 chicks, me and my boy. Like my boy rolled with me. He just like was like a tag along. I paid for everything for him. He was just like the muscle. And he would just party with me. And we had these 2 chicks, and the one chick was kind of weird with him, and they were like hanging out with us, and like I was hooking up with her friend, and then she kept being like, hey, you think I can get a boat? Because that's what they call the 1,000 pills ecstasy. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. We never told them, but they're not stupid. Like we didn't have jobs, and they saw us like doing stuff. And then one day she kept bothering me, and she's like, hey, my buddy will pay like an absurd amount and I'll drive. And I was like, well, if you'll drive, I was like, all right, let's do it. You drive your car. And so I sat behind her driver's seat, and I was like, she gets pulled over, I'm pushing her right under her seat. She's taking the fall. So she drives to this Walmart parking lot. This like Mexican guy gets in, and I can already tell, man, like just nervous energy, didn't have enough cash. I could already tell. And so I'm just like, oh, this isn't good. So I was like, pull out. Let's go through the McDonald's drive-thru. So like that way we could like at least try to make an escape where I could get out and run. I didn't want to be a sitting duck. Yeah. So she pulls out and she starts driving. Boom! Smashed in the front, smashed in the back. 2 big SUVs with like big front racks. These guys like jump out. Drug task force, pistol to my temple on the pavement, looking at the broken Walmart sign, and I'm just like, oh. Yeah, I was 19. I was just about to turn 20 years old, and I was like, man, I'm looking at a long time in jail. So
once you get slammed in by trucks, you know it's not drug dealers anymore.
Sucked, man.
You know it's professionals is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know it's the government.
We got set up. Yeah. We were set up. So and so I'm like, man, I bailed myself out and went back to, we were staying at my grandma's apartment where my dad lived. My grandma lived in New York. She never went back to that apartment, thank God, because they went and ransacked that apartment, bro. I mean, cut mattresses, cut pillows, threw pictures down. They stole like another like 20 G's cash. They took another, they found another 2,000 pills of ecstasy, stole like steroids, weed, like all this stuff. They just stole everything, and they only reported the couple thousand pills of ecstasy. And but there was a slipper there, and I had like 2 G's in it that I owed someone, and that was the only thing they didn't find. So I was like, this is my ticket out. So I went to a post office, asked if they would issue me a passport, and was just like, because I was on like pre-trial probation or something. I had to report to this lady and do P tests and all that stuff, like and they were like, yeah, and I expedited it. Passport came, and I was like, dude, I'm not going to jail. I'm not even dealing with this right now. And I told my boy, I'm like, let's go, bro. And he like couldn't come up with the money, and I'm like, ask your parents, like, let's get out of here, dude. Like, this isn't worth it. Like, you're looking at 4 to 6, like, it's not worth it. And yeah, I'll do it. And finally, bro, I just hopped on a Greyhound, dropped my phone in water, because like they would call you and stuff and check in on you. And I went from Colorado to Indiana, said goodbye to my family, made like an alias Facebook. And then I hopped on a train from Chicago to New York, said goodbye to my family, just told them I was going to backpack Europe. And then my dad flew out there and was like, all right, man, like, we'll see you later. And I hopped on a flight, JFK to Amsterdam, with like 2 G's in my pocket, and I didn't know anyone. So that was the beginning of a long journey, bro.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So we just got to Amsterdam.
Yeah, we just got to Amsterdam. So what happened back home, my boy was hanging out with my dad.
And of all fucking places,
they knock on the door. My boy's all drunk, looks through the peephole. They put this hot chick in front of it. He opens the door. Boom. They bust in. They drag him out. They chain him to a park bench at a park in the middle of Colorado at night. And he's in his underwear, freezing all night. Where's Ian? Where's Ian? Where's Ian? And luckily, he acted like straight retard, like dumb. Like, he acted like he had something wrong with him, so he didn't say anything. So eventually, if I didn't get caught for 3 years, he got off full. He went to rehab after that. And this drug empire continued to the point where it is like it was one of the biggest suppliers of Colorado ecstasy. And 5 people got indicted. The brother of the Guatemalan got killed in Guatemala, got shot. They caught the Guatemalan, tried to take him across the border, but didn't ask the Canadians, the feds. So he got off on technicalities, and he went back to Guatemala. And I just read in a newspaper 6 months ago, he got caught by the Guatemalan police, and he's getting indicted and extradited back to Colorado to face these charges.
Wow.
So that empire, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of pills after that. And my other boy that I was selling bulk to, he did 8 years in the feds. So he's free. So that was kind of like almost a blessing.
Let me ask you a question. So when you're running around Canada with all these ecstasy pills and you're getting into fights with girlfriends, ex-husbands, and you're having all these insane things happen to you, why did you choose Amsterdam?
Bro, have you ever seen the movie Euro Trip?
You don't want to choose like a nice little town in Italy and get away from the madness?
Yeah. To be honest, that's a good question, bro.
Like, is it the purpose to get away?
Like, bro, the first night in Amsterdam, I went to jail. Like, no joke. Like, I felt so stupid. I show up to Amsterdam, and I'm like so nervous because I thought maybe they were gonna get me in the airport, but they don't mess with you leaving. It's only when you come back.
Yeah.
And so I show up, and I'm like, all right, I'm on vacation. Like, what can I do that I can't do in America? And I was like, get a bottle of absinthe, go to the coffee shop. And I'm talking to these Canadians, and they're like, yeah, we're going to this club, blah, 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 blah. And they write down the address. And I'm like, oh, cool, man. It was like a really easy address to remember. And I was like, awesome. And then I walk in on the street, and this Russian chick's like, you want to do this Russian tour in her accent? And she's like, and I'll drink with you after. And I'm like, sure, let's go. And next thing you know, we get to the end of the tour, and she's like, you can have my drinks. I don't drink. And I was like, what? I was like, all right, whatever. So I drank her drinks. Apparently, I just passed out on the street. Cops locked me up. I wake up in jail at like 3 a.m. and I'm like, no. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm begging the police. I'm like, please let me go. I'm a dumb American. And they're like, are you sober enough? Are you good? And they're like, all right, we'll give you a ride to your hotel. They're like, what's your address? And I'm like, and I pull out the address to the club. And I was like, and I gave them that address, and they drove me straight to the club at 3 a.m. And I was like, Europe's crazy. But after that, I was like, all right, bro, like, lock in. Like, but yes, why did I choose Amsterdam? Nuts.
So tell me what you think about this. I know you're a man of faith now, obviously, and I am too. It's been a new revelation for me over the past 6 months or so. Alexis and I are proud to call ourselves Christians, you know, my beautiful wife. And, you know, I feel because I was everything you're saying, you know, I was a good athlete, started recreationally playing around, and it just turned into chaos.
Yeah.
And I hit it pretty well, but I don't want to say I hit it pretty well. I hit it better than others. Others were just out of their minds. I at least like had jobs and like kind of, you know, would go to the gym. Yeah, kind of like a functioning knucklehead, you know, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And maybe I wasn't fooling anybody, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
But there's something about, and I'd be curious to hear your opinion on this. There's something about when you're in that mindset, man, it's so easy to find those, the trouble finds you so easily.
Oh yeah.
Whereas today I'm such a saint, right? And I'm so pure.
Yeah.
You know, is that the work of the devil, do you think?
Oh, for sure. Because when you're in that mindset and you don't have protection from the Lord, it's like every time you start to get ahead, you self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Like I have friends like that. It's like they have the worst luck in the world, but it's not luck. You're literally letting the devil run your life, where he's just like, you're cursed. Like you have no protection. Like you have no faith, so you're just like I remember that's like the cycle of an addict too. Like you start to sober up, you start to get life together. People are like, oh, he's doing better, because you probably had something really bad happen that made you like, oh, I got to change my life. And then right when you start to climb that rank and you're like about to break through, you just fall again.
Yeah.
And it's just like a never ending cycle, and you never like get above it. And yeah, like you said now, like I have my struggles. I've had my struggles in life, but I have peace with it. And I don't rely on my own strength, because every time I try to control my life, take that wheel and drive it, bro, I end up in a mess.
I will say, ever since I've, you know, called myself a Christian, I will say my any anxiety I have, it does feel a little less, right? It definitely feels like there's a weight off my shoulders. You know, what's interesting too is like today, I don't even like, I'm laughing at all these stories, but you know, I definitely, they're funny, right? But I definitely don't want my kid to do the stuff I did. No way.
No.
So I don't even want to, you know, part of me thinks maybe I shouldn't even introduce this story of my life to my future children. Like I definitely don't want them to go down my footsteps, you know, because I did learn the hard way. And unfortunately, a lot of people do end up dead or in jail, or they remain addicts. You know?
Forever. That was the hardest challenge of my life, was to become sober. Like, that was like we'll get into that, but that was the hardest thing, even out of prison. Because when I got out of prison, I knew that the common denominator in all of my trouble was alcohol.
Yep.
And even knowing that, I went sober for a little while. I fell a couple times. but then I got hooked on painkillers. So it was just the next high. And, but yeah, I probably will tell my child I went through a lot, like prison and stuff, but I won't say probably like, I'm not going to give them details. The tough part is they can go on a podcast now.
Yeah. Or Google you and see whatever. I'm sure there's an article or something,
Yeah. And you just have to really sit down and be like, look, not proud of none of this. And like, I feel like, I'm praying God to give me wisdom on that, because that's a whole new chapter that, hopefully we'll have someday.
I just don't want them to think, our children to think, you can flirt with recklessness and come out on the other side.
Because a lot of people don't. Statistically, you are not, like, I should, like, the revolving door of prison is, like, so high. It's like 78% or something that you're going to keep going back. And then to make it to the top of a sport after that is, like, even lower percentage, or even be successful in a business, or even have a high-paying job of making over 100K is very low. Yeah. As a felon, I can't go get a government job. I can't go work my way up the corporate ladder. Yeah. Because you have that stuck on your name. Yeah.
So you had this. So you had a wrestling base, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, the foundation of fighting. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of had stopped training, and when I was in Canada, I just went to like full bodybuilding mode. I got up to 240. I was just yoked. I was a little salty after college and stuff, because that was my identity at that time. Wrestling,
I get that.
And I'm like, what's next for wrestling? There's no pay in wrestling, and I wanted to do fighting. I always watched Mike Tyson's Greatest Knockouts. I loved the UFC, but I couldn't structurally train at a regular pace because of the partying. You have to be focused. You have to be locked in. And I would like maybe train a day or two, and then I would fall. Like I would get super drunk and be hungover for a couple days, or go on a bender. So I land in Amsterdam, man. I go to jail the first day, and I'm like, dude, lock in, bro. Like, what are we doing here? So then I chilled out a little bit, because even the next day I'm walking around the streets, and dude's like, you took coke from me and didn't pay me, and he's like following me around trying to chase me and stuff, and I'm just like, what did I do last night? Like I didn't even remember what I did, and I'm like, dude, it's a scary feeling blacking out, because you could do anything. And that's kind of the monster I would turn into, and I was like, I do not want to be that. So I blow all my money. I'm living in a hostel, like $30 a night. I felt terrible, bro. I did terrible things, like rob people in the hostel to get a bus ticket, because I called my cousin. I'm like, dude, I got to get out of here. Like, I hate this town. It was like Sin City. And that's so weird. I've never thought about, why would I pick Amsterdam?
It just tells me where your head was at that stage of your life.
I never thought of that. So I called my cousin, and I was like, bro, and he's like, hey, I have a friend in Belgium, which is close, Bruges. And he's like, you can go stay with him till you get on your feet. It's all good. So I got enough money for a bus ticket. I went over to Bruges, moved in with this guy Kai, and I was like, all right, I got to get a job. Bust out the old funny resume with like state champ wrestler on there and stuff. Start just going around to businesses. I was a hustler. I was like, I will knock doors. Like, I'll go. So I go to Irish pubs, because they speak English. This Irish pub guy's looking at it. He's laughing, and he's like, yeah, you could be an extra hand in the kitchen. He's like, you know how to do stuff? I was like, yeah, and I'll learn too. And he's like, cool. He's like, where's your your work visa? And I was like, you know how the mail is here, man. It takes a while, but it's coming. It got approved. And he's like, all right, yeah, that's fine. When you get it, just let me know. So I'm working in the kitchen. Months go by, 2 months goes by. Dude's like, you get that work visa? I was like, you know the mail here, bro. He's like, all right, well, if they come, you got to hide in this closet. So it was like, I felt like what it felt like to be an immigrant in America, And I met this crazy English guy, right? This guy comes in. He's working the bar. I'm working the kitchen. This dude has like no family. He's just a nut. Like, he was even worse than me, bro. Like, he didn't grow up with any structure. He was living in Tenerife, met a Belgian girl, and moved back with her. So one day we're shutting down this whole bar, because it's like a full Irish pub, 3 stories. And it's just me and him, and we're getting ready to shut down. And this bachelorette, which they call hen party, the English do, like 15 chicks come walking in, bro. So we're just like, what's up? And so we just start partying with them. We're just like pouring drinks, like not even charging them for alcohol, like hooking up with them and stuff. Like it was just nuts. Our boss watches the cameras, and he just goes nuts. He prints out the fugitive cage fighter detained after beating up 37-year-old girlfriend, prints that whole article out. We show up next day. He's like, you're fired. He's like, you're lucky I don't call the police. Both of you guys are fired. So we grab his arm. We're like, we're going to pay us, and then we're going to leave forever. So we like walk him to the register. He busts out the cash, pays us both. And the English guy's, don't worry, mate. I'll get us jobs in England. He just like leaves his girlfriend that he moved out there. I'm like, bro, this guy's crazy. So we hop on a ferry. We go to England. His idea of a job is us living in this shell of an apartment with no electricity, no water, no carpet. We're in a shell of an apartment painting it in the day. And it's freezing cold in England in this like small town up north. And I'm like, bro, I can't do this anymore. So he's like, all right, let's go to the college town and get some jobs. So we go to this college town. We're like, we'll be a PR. Like, we'll get people in your club. And they're like, we don't really have room to pay you guys. We're like, we'll do it for free tonight. Just give us drinks. And if you like us, we'll keep it. Bro, we filled that club. Like, we just went around drunk, just pulling girls.
Just being a socialite. Like, hey, we got a party.
Yeah, come in. You guys each buy a drink. We'll throw in a free shot. Come on, let's go. And just like walking girls and walking girls and walking girls. So they're like, all right, you're hired. So I move into student housing. And this dude's just crazy, bro. He ends up trying to rob the safe like 3 weeks in. And I'm like, bro, I don't even know this guy. Like, he's crazy. And so he disappears out of my life. So I'm working there, and it's getting kind of tough. Like, it's winter. I'm like selling these like coupon things for £5. Like, I'm doing all these hustling. I'm like, dude, I hate, like, I'm never coming up. So I was like, all right, I'm going to call the Guatemalan. I was like, hey, bro, send me a package out here. So
you still got the Guatemalan's number. I love it. Do you remember his name at all, or can you not say?
D, we called him. D? Yeah, D. Yeah.
All right, go on.
So he ships me on a package. So I start going to the clubs again, selling it. The problem was the English people did the dirtiest drugs, bro. Like, it was the worst market you could ever be in. They did
low quality. You mean like
quality, bro? Like they would pay $1, a pound or two a pill, and take like 20 in a night. And I was charging 8 pounds a pill because you only need one, maybe two.
Yeah.
And they were like sniffing plant fertilizer and all this weird stuff, bro. It was a weird experience, and like to the point where I had to like punk some dudes because like I gave him 4 and he throws it out, chews it up, swallows it, and I'm like, bro. And he's like, 5 minutes later, he's in my face. You sold me fake stuff, you yank. And he's like a straight like hooligan with scars on his head and stuff. I'm like, bro, get out of my face, bro. Like, you're gonna feel it. Trust me. I was like, here's 2 more. And next thing you know, he's on the couch, and I walk up, wham, and I was like, what did I sell you, bro? And he's like, oh, mate. And I was just like, dude, this is sketchy, bro. Like, and then the Pakistanians the Pakis were mad I was selling on their territory. So finally I made him an offer. I said, bro, I hate England. It's cold, it's rainy, it's wet. There's some cool guys I met here. Sold it to them all in one batch. And they're like, go to Tenerife. It's paradise there. So I hop on a plane. I go to Tenerife. I walk. I was like, dude, this is beautiful. Beautiful women, beautiful beaches. I'm walking down the beach, drinking a 6-pack. And I'm just like, this is paradise. This is where I should be. I roll up to the clubs. I was like, all right, let's try to get a job. I was like, hey, you guys hiring? They're like, you're hired now. And I was like, cool, let's go. The problem with this job is they paid you 8 drinks when you work, 4 drinks when you get off, and €1 a person that you bring in. So basically you got paid in booze. So 3 months of this, bro, full-blown alcoholic. Like, I'm like shaking in the morning. Like it's bad. Like, it's to the point where it's just nuts. Like I would sleep in. Like, we worked till 4 or 5 a.m. and then party. It was just like a terrible lifestyle. That point I was at.
Yeah, you party till 10 a.m., 11 a.m.
Yeah, and then you're back to work at 5.
Yeah. And so that's your morning is 5.
And I wake up and I'm just shaky, barely eating, and I'm just drinking. And so rock bottom, bro. Like, I couldn't even afford 30 euros in a cockroach-infested apartment with like 8 other dudes, like these big townhomes that we were staying in. So finally, bro, I'm homeless, like sleeping on the beach, sleeping on park benches. I'm like couch surfing sometimes, and I'm just like, dude, I'm in a bad shape. And this American guy who was from Miami, and his dad's Colombian, he said, hey, gringo, come live with us, man. Like, you got potential, bro. We don't want to see you living like, because I like made a friendship with him because you come party. And so I moved in with them, bro. And like, they were like, bro, just eat healthy, get sober. And so I was like working out. I was back in the MMA gym. I was feeling good. Like, me and him were like boys, and me and his dad were really cool. About like 2-3 months in, I got a job at a restaurant. So I was working 4 hours in the day, making like a little bit less money, but I was like doing good. And next thing you know, Dad sent me down. He's like, "Hey, gringo, you want to make some real money?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Colombia." He's like, "We'll take a trip." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm down." So we started taking trips: Colombia, Venezuela, Aruba. We'd get kilos of coke. We'd wrap them. We'd swallow them and bring them back. The first time though, he sent me and his son, and we were just like straight mules, like got the coke delivered to us. After that, bro, I was like, I'm wrapping all my own stuff, and I'm keeping some to sell for like my own to make real money.
So you would poop out the cocaine?
Yeah.
And like,
So
how much
you try to swallow 100 10-gram balls.
And then you can cut that up when you get there.
Yeah, you can turn it into 2 kilos. So you basically, we would get the kilo for about $1,000 US, and we could sell it for about 75,000 wholesale euros.
So you got about 150 grand up your butt.
So you get 100x on return, US.
Wow.
So, and you could sell it at the club for 100 bucks or 100 euros a gram. And I was working at the club too on top of that. So
now, how old are you here at this point?
I was 21 in Belgium, so now I'm probably like 22.
Okay.
Yeah, 22 now.
I was a wild man, dude, but you got me beat big time. Yeah, you got me beat. This is wild. It's intense.
Yeah, so we so now I'm like the first trip I went with is just me and Alex, the son.
Yeah.
We'll call him Alex for purposes,
yeah,
but
for sure.
So we went down to we'll cut that out. I don't even want to say Alex.
Cut it out.
Okay, yeah, we'll cut that out. So me and his son, we were good friends, and we got shipped down to Colombia for like family friends, you know, and it was Cali, Colombia, which is super ghetto. Like, we were on dirt roads. It was nuts. Like, piles of trash, like crazy people like eating trash, and then you would just see like a supermodel chick in high heels and chickens everywhere. It was just like a crazy environment. Gunshots. I was like the only white boy around. Like, these dudes were like parading me around. We're driving in this car, 5 Latinos and me. I look out the window. I got a pistol pointed at my head, and it's a cop. And he's like, "Pull over." And he's like, "What's this white boy doing with you?" And like they were just in shock, this white boy. And eventually we drove up into the mountains where the guerrilla was at, and we got the kilos and drove it back. They blended it up, compressed it in 10 grams. And that was the sketchiest time because it was the first time. And I didn't wrap my own stuff. So, like, when you don't wrap your own stuff, like, after that, bro, I wrapped, like, because, like, the last one that came out was, like, soft. Like, if that breaks in your stomach,
oh, God,
you foam at the mouth and you're dead. So, like, that was scary. And but after that, I was like, all right, we're gonna wrap our own stuff. And me and his dad started going because his son wasn't as good at swallowing. So me and him started going. So we went to Aruba, and then we went back to Colombia. About 4 trips in, this random guy comes up to me in the airport. "Dame su pasaporte," and I'm like, "No comprende, sir," because I'd act like some like drunk college kid. Because we would have to wake up 8 hours before the flight. And we would like swallow 10, eat some food, walk around, swallow another 10. It was a lot of prep. It took a while to swallow. And it was a lot of plastic. You felt right when you were done, give me shots of whiskey. Get drunk because you just forget about what you're doing too. And the guy's like, "Secret police," and takes my passport. "Yeah, you like Colombia, gringo, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have a girlfriend here." He's like, "All right, yeah, sit down." Sits me down next to this beautiful girl and this sketchy looking dude. And I look at the girl, I'm like, "What are we doing here?" And she's like, "X-rays." I'm like,
X-rays? What does that mean?
X-ray.
X-ray.
And I'm just like, and I have a kilo in my stomach, and I'm just freaking out. Like,
not only that you might die, but this kilo.
And I didn't know, bro. I started watching these shows on getting caught in the airport. And it's like 9 to 12 years in Colombia. I would have been cooked.
God.
So I'm just trying to do whatever I can to not be scared or look sketchy. And we always finished with this special paper, this reflecting paper. And he's like, "This will pass the X-ray." But I didn't know like if it was legit.
You have no idea.
Yeah. And so like we go in this room. It's like the size of this. And I'm like, dude, my heart's just pounding out my chest. I'm sweating so hard. Tiene buen día, Señor Heinisch. Signed fingerprint, bro. shot of adrenaline like you couldn't imagine, bro. Like just walked out. I was just like, oh. And I get on that plane and he's looking at me like, looking at me. I'm like, yeah, we're good, bro. We're good. Like it was nuts. So that was probably a bad thing because after that we got cocky. I was like, what are they going to do? X-ray us? The paper works. We're good. And so then we used to do 3 months and then do our trip. And then now we started doing like 1 month. And we were going more and more. And eventually they stopped me at a Spanish airport in Spain, Tenerife, because we did this weird route. We flew from Aruba to Venezuela, Caracas, which was a scary place to be at. And then we flew direct to Tenerife. Usually we'd always go to Madrid or Barcelona and then go to this island. And it just was sketch because I was the only white boy on the flight. And they were like, pulled me off, questioned me. I had my girlfriend come. They're like, why do you keep coming back here? And I was like, I'm just a rich American. I have girlfriends everywhere, blah, blah, blah. And I had like a wad of cash, but no credit cards. And they were like, that's sketch. And I was like, where do you get your money? I'm like, Western Union. And they're like, rich people don't do that. Yes. So they're like, all right, you check out. And then I left. And the Colombian waited for us, unfortunately, in the parking garage. Once we re-met, boom, secret police task force jumped on us. And I was like being super cocky, but they took us to the hospital because they didn't have an x-ray in the airport because it's like an older airport. And that x-ray in the airport could see it. So they were like, you have drugs in your intestines. What is it? Cocaine, heroin? And that was it, man. Boom, handcuffs on, threw me in jail. Sat in jail for 1 year. Didn't have court, didn't have any judge. They asked if I wanted to talk to the U.S. Embassy. I said, no, I'm good because I had felony warrants. And, man, that was it was one of those moments where it was like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. And it turned out to be the best thing that could ever happen to me, you know? Like, yeah. We have those in life.
For sure. And was this your breaking point of being insane? Or like when you got out of jail after a year, was this your come to Jesus moment, or was this?
It was close.
Okay, yeah, still need a little more.
Yeah. So they had a wrestling program there called Lucha Canaria. I walked right up to the coach and I showed him my cauliflower ear. It usually takes 3 months to get in the program. He said, you're in. And I fell in love with wrestling again, man. It was this cool gladiator style wrestling with this gi.
In jail? I'm confused.
Yeah, in prison.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so in the beginning, they separated me and the guy I came in with. And, you know, there's 2 paths you could take in prison, man. You can go down the drug path, especially there. They are handing out drugs like crazy. But I was just, like, looking around, sobering up, and I was just like, dude, what am I doing here? Like, this isn't my path. And I started to feel God speak to me, and I started to go to church. I started to sober and clear my head. And I needed that. Like, I needed to be snatched out of my environment where I couldn't just do what I wanted to do when I wanted. And then I was like, no, I'm going to turn my body into a weapon. I'm going to train my mind, body, spirit every single day. Every day I did that. And so I had that epiphany, started training wrestling. You would lock shoulders, best out of 3 takedowns. And you would lock shoulders, grab the gi, and you would have to run through the whole team. And once you eliminated one, the next guy would come in. Eliminated one, whoever had people left on their team would win. So it was like this team style. It was like Senegalese wrestling. I loved it, bro. They brought in a professional team. Me and this crazy American beat the whole team. And then we were made the newspaper. The president of the Federation of Lucha Canaria wrote the warden. They were like, we want to sign this guy when he comes out. So I was like, that's it. I'm going to be a Lucha Canaria star. Like, that's what I thought. And then I started training kickboxing. I was doing wrestling. I was weightlifting. I was just like training, bro. They extradited me to the north of Spain. They did not like a gringo was doing good in their sport. They kicked me out of there. Flew me with like murders, rapists, took us to the airport like Con Air, bro. Crazy police with ski masks on. They rented out a commercial flight, threw us on there. We had to march like this. We got there. They eventually made my way to this place called Leon, Spain. They had a boxing program. I said I want to do all boxing because they had a good coach, and started doing fights in the prison. Guards would come put bets on it like the movies, like fight Russians and stuff. And it was just a full training camp, man. And then it was just mind games with the jail. I did 2.5 years. I had a 3.5-year sentence. I signed a paper I wouldn't come back to Europe for 5 years. So they sliced my sentence by 1/4. Wow. And but they kept messing with you. Give you a paper. You're going to get out next week. Oh, yeah. Yes. No. 2 months later, another paper. So it was like a bunch of mental warfare in there. Finally, you just had to quit caring about your life and just train. And then hopped on a. They finally took me to the airport, took the handcuffs off, put me on the flight, and I was flying from Spain to New York. I don't know why they picked New York. So I'm on the flight. I'm freaking out, man. I'm like, I'm free for the first time.
Because now you got to deal with federal warrants?
Well, yeah, but they didn't talk to America. So I'm just flying in like this guy who's been out the country for 5 years. So I roll up, and I'm just like thinking every scenario. I'm like, man, I could try to run. And I'm like, no, 9/11, that's never going to work. Just thinking all the scenarios, and I'm acting all crazy on the flight, like talking to girls. I'm just free for the first time in 2.5 years. Like, it was a surreal feeling.
You were in that not Colombian. Was it what jail was it?
Rikers.
Rikers.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I was on my way to Rikers.
So it was 2.5 years though. You were in prison total.
I was in Spain.
In
prison for 2.5 years.
Wow.
So now I'm free for the first time on a flight to New York. Land in New York. They scan my passport. Flips red. Come with us, sir. They're looking. They don't know what to do. Then they put me to Jamaica Queens jailhouse. Sit there for 4 days over the weekend. Pimps, drug dealers, heroin addicts, like the dirtiest jail. It was over the weekend. It was nuts. I had this like Italian jacket, bro. I just lived in that jacket. It was so cold and nasty in there. And then finally, the public defender says, "Hey, you need to go to protect custody. You're going to Rikers Island." And I never even heard about this place. And then I was like, nah. I was like, you leave me, you throw me with the wolves, I'll lead the pack. That was my mindset. I was like, I just did 2.5 years in prison with some crazy people. Like, I'm good. And go in front of the judge. They're like, you're a fugitive. You get no bail. You're going to Rikers until you get extradited. And I was just like driving on this bus, and I'm just like, bro, this is a real island. And we get into Rikers, bro, and it's just a zoo. And they walk me to maximum security. And the guard looks at me. He's like, you must be some bad dude. I was like, why? And he's like, we don't see white boys in this part of the prison, because I was going to maximum security because I was a fugitive. And I was just like, in my head, I was like, oh, man. And I was like, you damn right. And right away, bro, they rush my cell. Just
Who's they?
Just like gangs, the gangs who run it, and what are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. What, you want this, you need that, blah, blah, blah. They put the Snicker under your pillow. Never take that. Get all this stuff out of here, bro. I don't want none of this. And
wait. See, this is what's a Snicker under your pillow?
Like a Snickers bar.
So what does it mean? They put a Snicker under your pillow. What does it mean if you grab it?
Well, if you grab it and eat it, now you owe them.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Like they always try to like trick you.
They're just playing with you.
Yeah, they just want a reason just to get you, bro.
Yeah, okay.
And it was a rough, bro. It was like 3 weeks, but it was the toughest time ever in my prison career. I got into an altercation with one of the gangs. Luckily, I spoke Spanish fluent, so I was good with the Latins, and I had a SOS on me, man, stab on sight. And luckily, that next morning, bro, God saved me. I was praying all night. I was like, they're gonna rush me. I asked the guard to be moved to protect the custody. He said, "F you, white boy," slammed the door in my face. Because, bro, I saw people dying in there. I saw the guards come up and throwing up gang signs to the inmates.
Yeah.
This is a worse prison. Go watch the Khalif Broder documentary by Jay-Z. It's the worst. That place should be shut down. Thank God I survived, man. And then the next part started. U.S. Marshal picked me, Heinisch, and I'm all tweaked out in my cell because I'm ready for these guys to rush me. And let's go. And I walk out, and I'm like, thank you, God. And then next thing you know, bro, handcuffed like this. 11 days. We drove around. We drove to Pennsylvania, Vermont, back to New York. 48 hours. We're back in New York, and I'm shackled like this. And I guess they got paid more when they crossed borders and stuff. So it's February in New York on the East Coast, and the heater's broken. So, we're freezing.
You're like in a van or something?
Yeah, in a van. And they only let you pee every 6 hours because they can only let you pee at a jail. So one time I was like, dude, I'm going to piss my pants. They bounced one of those Gatorade bottles off my head and like, deal with it. So I quit drinking water. I stayed up for 11 days straight. I was like hallucinating. It was nuts, bro. Like they treated us like animals. So they only fed us McDonald's and Burger King. And we were just doing circles. It took us 11 days. Finally made it to Jefferson County, Colorado. And I was just like, thank God. I couldn't even sleep when I finally got to bed. And My mom bailed me out 2014 Valentine's Day. And I called my dad. He's like, I'm at a yoga retreat. You want to come? So I show up downtown Denver, and I'm doing this yoga class, bro. And I'm looking around. I'm just laughing, bro. And people are looking at me like, what's wrong with this guy? I went from all, like, Spanish people to Puerto Ricans and blacks to white boys in there. And then I'm in this place with just, like, chicks. And I was just like, this is, like I was just mind blown. And so that's when I was like, all right, man, I have to find an MMA gym. Let's go. Like, I've been training hard. Like, I was in good shape. And, I mean, besides the 11 days of eating fast
food.
But
the 2.5 years and you were
2.5
tight.
years of training, bro.
Yeah.
Like, training MMA, like, full time. And so I found this MMA gym. I started going there, Factory X. And to make a long story short, I went 4-0 as an amateur, all submissions and knockouts. And then my coach goes, you're going pro. I go 8-0 as a professional. And I'm crushing it, right? Blowing up on the local scene and the regional scene. And they go, you win this fight, you're in the UFC. If you lose it, you're going in the back of the line. And everything I've been working for to that moment, a year and a half before that, I had tore my LCL before a fight. I had to pull out of the fight. First fight I had to pull out of. Went to the doctor, 40 Percocets. And I kind of was already starting to fall in that world. I knew I needed, because I had this encounter with God in prison, right? I got thrown in isolation, and I just started reading the Bible that was in Spanish. And I don't read Spanish like that, like especially scripture. And God just like comforted me in a dark time. And he was calling me. And he started to put this dream on my heart. He's like, you're going to be UFC champ. You're going to proclaim my name to the world. And so I knew I needed to go to church, but I showed up to a church and all they talked about was money. And then I had this like voice, and I watched these videos. Oh, you don't need church. They're just there for your money. Yeah. You don't need church, but you need fellowship. And I missed that part. So as you fall away from fellowship, as you fall away from the word, you start to fall back into the world. And that was when, man, I was full-blown addicted. My dad was on painkillers. My uncle was on painkillers. We started doing Oxy. We were sniffing it. We were smoking it. I was going across the border to Mexico to buy more and bring the shipments back. And, it was a rough time, man, because it was this vicious cycle. I would quit 3 weeks before a fight, get deathly ill from the withdrawals, and then I would start to feel better, start cutting weight, make weight, go win a fight, and then to celebrate, I would take more painkillers. So it was like this vicious cycle. So a guy named Nate Marquardt, UFC legend, like a pioneer of UFC, fought Anderson Silva for the belt. And he came to our gym and he invited me to Bible study, and I started to go, and I was like, all right, these guys are cool, man. Like, yeah. And then I started to go to church, and I started to go on this journey, but I was still like hooking up with chicks and taking drugs. And then I lost to that fight. When you're not living right outside of the octagon or the cage, it always shows inside. Went in there, lost the fight, got submitted. A guy I should have beat. And I went on this camping trip, man, and I was just devastated. The first loss is the worst, man. Like, it just hits the hardest. And I went on this camping trip, man, and I was just like, gosh, bro. I was like, I'm literally born to be a drug addict. Like, there's nothing I can physically do. I've been to rehab. I've been to prison. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, I can't stop doing drugs. Like, I was, like, so broken, man. I was like, dude, like, the devil was lying to me. Like, in my head, I was like, I just need to kill myself because I'm going to die from drugs anyways. And my buddy Nate gave us a Bible study, me and my buddy. And I just did all this crazy stuff, like chopped wood till my hands bled. I took him on this hike. We hit the summit, hit 60-mile-an-hour winds. I made us hike for like another half an hour till we like almost collapsed. We had to like hide behind a rock. And we got back and just both passed out. Like, we were so tired. God bless him for following me on that journey. And finally woke up and he's like, hey, man, let's just open the Bible study. I was like, I don't want to, bro. Like, and finally we opened it up and we were reading Romans, and it was basically saying, like, you claim to be a Christian, but you're a hypocrite. And I was like, these guys don't think we're saved. I felt like offended. And then it hit me, bro, like a ton of bricks. It was like, I am a hypocrite because I claim to be a Christian, but I do what God doesn't want me to do. I live this double life, and there's no power or evidence of God in my life. And I was just like, at that moment, I was like, God, take everything or else I'm going to take my life. And I felt this peace come upon me, bro, that I could never explain. It was just like, I just finally had peace that I was looking for. I went to church a couple weeks later. There was a baptism call, and it was just obvious, bro. God was pulling on my heart. I was like, all right, I got to go. I went and got baptized. I walked in the water. It looked clear to me. And when I walked out and I looked around, I looked back at it, and I thought I was going to be like, yeah, let's go. I looked back at the water, it looked black, and I was just rocked. Like, I felt this like crazy feeling, and it was like, God was like, there's your sin and your addiction dead. And at that time, I was living in my buddy's basement. I was like broke. I was like not in the UFC. I was just a drug addict. 1 year after that, I went on a 4 knockout win streak. I broke into the UFC. I broke into the top 10. I met my wife, married my wife, bought a house. It was just like the floodgates of blessings just opened. God was just like, let me in. And not to say that to say when you give your life to God, everything's going to be easy. But now you're going to walk through the fire with God, and you have that peace and that power behind you. And yeah, I went on this insane run in the UFC. Probably should have built myself a little more. Probably should have fought like easier fights, but I was just so hungry. I was like, give me whoever. First fight, 6 days short notice, fighting Cesar Ferreira, number 16 in the world. Boom. Fly out to Argentina 6 days, or upset him. And then I'm supposed to fight Tom Breeze in London. He pulls out of the fight the day of. Then I take a short notice fight against Cesar Ferreira. He's ranked, or Antonio Carlos Jr., who just won PFL twice. He's ranked number 9. And so I go out there, I beat him.
Total side note question. Like, where did you have a wrestling background?
Yeah.
Where did you learn boxing? Like, do you know Muay Thai and stuff too? Like,
yeah. So
boxing, kickboxing. Like, where did that emerge? Was that in jail?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the boxing was in prison, but now, let's see. I got out of prison when I was 24. 2014 Valentine's Day. Yeah. So I think I was about 24, but no, 26. And by the time I was 29, I was top 10, or I was in the UFC. Wow. So it took me 3 years. So there was those 3 years of training at a real MMA gym full time. Like, I was coaching, training, like I was just living at the gym. Yeah. But the boxing really gave me a good base. And I had the wrestling. And I just had this crazy aggressive style, like you were saying in the original question, of I would just pressure, box, shoot, and I didn't even fully trust my striking like I did later in my career. It was a lot, like my beginning fights were so much wrestling, but then I started to trust my hands and get some knockouts, especially after I left that gym and went to a boxing gym, more of a striking gym with hands. And then I started to put people to sleep. And I just had this pressure where if you wanted to strike with me, I would shoot on you. If you wanted to wrestle with me, I would make you strike.
Yeah.
So it was just this up, down, in your face. And I would throw people off. Like my coach told me on my first UFC fight, when he goes to put your hand touch, tell him no and just rush him. And I had this mindset. I'm running through this.
Chimaev style.
Yeah. I was just like, I dropped him, broke his arm in the first round. He's a tough dude. Came out and fought a war with me for the next 2 rounds. And, Cesar Ferreira, Antonio Carlos Jr., world champ jiu-jitsu guy, one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners, took my back the first round, had to weather the storm. Second round, just came on him, reversed him and just started piecing him up and upset him. He got poked in the eye. The ref didn't call it off. I just rushed him because he was like trying to talk to the ref. And I'm like, bro, if he's not calling it, like we're in a fight.
Fair game.
And and then I fought. After I moved gyms, who did I fight after that? So I fought Omari Akhmedov, another really good Russian wrestler. Lost a close decision to him. Lost to Derek Brunson. And to say these things, to make a long story short, my career was up and down. It was fast. By the third fight, I only fought top 10 guys, top 15 guys. So, there was really no time to build. I was fighting the big boys right away. Kelvin Gastelum. Yeah. My last fight was Amavov, who's probably going to be the champ soon. Yeah. He knocked out Israel Adesanya. Yeah. And I had such a big breakthrough this year. After I got a brain injury, and this is a whole nother long story. I don't know if you want to go into it, but
I almost feel like, dude, you got to come back again because, dude, if this was a movie, I would watch it.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. Like I'm shocked like Joe Rogan hasn't had you on, and because your story's so like I find it inspirational because there's so many there's a lot of knuckleheads that are on the scene like you were.
Yeah.
But the fact that you became competitive in the UFC, a professional sport, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you're a businessman and entrepreneur today, a man of God, like, and who you are today, it's wild that, you know, I think that's how people, just so you know, I think that's how people look at me from my hometown.
Yeah.
And people know how I was. And they're like, wait, Eric's doing what?
Yeah.
Eric runs what? He has how many companies? He has how many employees?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, it's definitely the arc, right? And we'll just leave it at this, man. Like God provided always. And I did, like, man, it didn't make sense to me. I was number 9 in the world. And some of the guys I'm beating now, they're even past me, beating them in the gym, and I'm just like, God, just heal me. There's 8 people in front of me. Just let me get the belt one time, because I wanted to put that stamp on my story.
Yeah.
We had ESPN wanted to do a story on me. They were waiting for me to come back from my injury. Good news is I have a production deal signed with Talus Films for a docuseries, so we're working on getting the distribution for that. And I also have very interested from another production company to do a scripted series. So I think it's going to come to light soon because
dude, this is your story's fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, it sucked not to be able to get that belt, to be that close. I literally thought in my head, there's 8 people in front of me that are, that I need to get through to get to my goal. And I questioned God a lot about that. I was like, God, why? Like, you could just snap your finger and heal me. But I learned so much from that, and I went in and created a very successful crypto marketing company. And then I basically God provided. Now I am the president of BKFC Ice Wars. It's going to be the biggest, fastest growing promotion in the world. And, we have very exciting things. So the future is bright, huge breakthroughs in my health, detoxing my gut, healing my brain through stem cells, doing stem cells at CPI. So, like I said, man, when you give your life to the Lord, it's not just a straight path up. The floodgates of blessings open, but there was trials and tribulations, and it sculpts your character. It makes you be more, you have to persevere through those trials. And, man, I just feel like everything that I've went through in my life has made me the person I am today. And, maybe if I was on the straight and narrow and I won the UFC belt, then I would have fell so hard because of that quick fame and money. So, it's been up and down. With
celebrating with some painkillers or something.
Yeah, it would have been.
Who knows, right? Like,
yeah, and that's what I always thought too, because I'm like, once I get that belt, I know where that path goes. I'm not going back down that path. I'm going on the straight path,
Well, don't be so hard on yourself. I think what you accomplished is nothing short of
no,
amazing.
I know, but but like you said, like if I even won the belt once, like there would be already a film, Joe Rogan, and that's what everybody was waiting for. Unfortunately, it sucks that it didn't happen, but who knows what the future has to hold, and maybe Ice Wars is that huge stamp, and God's provided for me, so
wouldn't that be cool?
I'm very blessed. Yeah,
imagine that. Maybe that's your championship belt.
Yeah, maybe, and I can treat fighters how I know I would want to be treated, because not saying anything bad about the UFC, but this is the only fight promotion where the president is an ex-fighter, so I know the needs, the wants, and what it's like to be in their position.
Yeah,
these other fight promotions, they don't have presidents like that. So.
Yeah, no, you got listen. You're obviously my buddy. Maybe after one of our workouts, we come on here again.
Yeah, let's do a part 2.
Yeah, I want to do a part 2. We definitely do.
We'll do more of the business side, because that's the whole part 2. The redemption arc.
We'll do it again very soon. Do me a favor. Look into the camera.
Yeah.
And if people want to learn about Ian Heinisch, want to learn a little bit about you as a UFC fighter, you as an entrepreneur, where should they look you up?
Okay. If you guys want to learn more about me, go to my Instagram, Ian Heinisch MMA. That's my same name on Twitter if you want more of the crypto side of things. Crypto Kings on YouTube if you want more of the crypto stuff. BKFC Ice Wars. Go to BKFC Iced on Instagram. And guys, get ready for some action-packed events with BKFC Ice Wars. Our next event will be announced soon, and I'll see you guys there. Enjoy the show, and excited for the future.
Hey guys, thanks again for tuning into the Gold Coast podcast. Make sure you give us a like, follow, share, and do us a favor. We are going to do a part 2 with this guy right here. We went into his, his past, but now we want to go into his present and future. So tune in. We'll see you again.